everybody. Uh, I am Sakit Karnik, having overall experience of 26 plus years now, uh, with corporate training experience of close to 18 to 19 years now. And as Navjot already mentioned, I started as a developer on Microsoft technology stack, precisely VB 5.0, and then upgraded to VB6 and then started working on .NET in uh, pretty early days of .NET when even it was not completely released by Microsoft for public. It was just a beta release at that time, around year 2000. Since then, working heavily on .NET platform, and around 2008-9, I started working more on the web applications, which included uh, ASP.NET Web Forms, then moved on to MVC, and that's where I also started working on the client side stuff with Backbone.js, Knockout.js. Thing of past now, uh, we have better libraries and frameworks like Angular and React. So I've been working with those frameworks and libraries a lot. Beside that, I do work a bit on Vue.js also, and IoT is another area, Internet of Things, which I have worked upon for few projects. Yeah, so with my background, it was more about using the Microsoft's services available for IoT, right? So that started with exploring few things, building some POC projects on Windows IoT platform, and then eventually focusing more on Azure IoT services. And that's where I played around with data generation a lot. And then that is where I took the decision that, okay, I need to get into some data processing things also. So that's where I started uh, evaluating, or I can say upgrading on the Azure AI services, bit of ML services and all. And then of late, as we have seen, the industry moving towards AI a lot, with a lot of AI platforms coming in, AI tools coming in, right? AI engines coming in, AI agents coming in. I decided that why not take this up and get started with that also. Okay, so this session is going to be more focusing on Microsoft Copilot and GitHub Copilot tools. It's a blend of both. Like we'll be evaluating what these two platforms are and what are the capabilities and what we can achieve with them, how these tools can be useful in improvising the productivity for the developers, and not only developers, actually the general office work also. So back office and support teams also can benefit of this, right? So here is the agenda we have on the screen. We already started with this, in fact, and what to expect goes from here. So why Copilot is a big deal for developers as on today, right? Why it's getting so much of traction. Obviously, we need to understand that first. Then the Copilot tools like GitHub, Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and all. How overall it works, what it uses behind the scenes, like Azure OpenAI and Microsoft Graph APIs. Then some smart prompting tips that we'll be talking about. This is something though listed here, but it will be throughout the session, right? And then another important question is it safe? Because when we say that we are taking the assistance from a third party tool for code generation, code review, creating the test cases and all that, uh, obviously our code is going to be accessible to that third party tool, and the concerns are like whether my code is going out of my organization scope and whether that code remains secure and private, or not, right? So that's important question to be addressed. And then some hands-on implementations. So like using GitHub Copilot, then using Copilot with Power Platform, then using Copilot, Microsoft Copilot basically for uh, the regular works like MS Office applications and all, like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. And some tips and tricks, and then uh, something like Q&A session and what are the useful learning resources we have for further diving deep into Microsoft Copilot, GitHub Copilot, and Power Apps Copilot. Okay, so I hope the agenda is clear. This session is not going to be a very deep dive kind of session because see, it's a quick one, just 2 hours only, right? So obviously deep dive is not possible, but I'll try to put as many details and I'll try to share as much of information as possible with you to get you guys started with Copilot, right? Basically, it will be more of a kickstart with Microsoft Copilot and GitHub Copilot and all other Copilot flavors. Okay, so these are the areas that we'll be targeting. And let's get started over here. So the very first part, why Copilot is a big deal, right? Maybe the first question would be, what is Microsoft Copilot or what is Copilot altogether? So anybody would like to comment? I'm sure Copilot is not 100% new to anyone over here. It's more of a
Yeah,
tool.
should I tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's basically a tool which gets integrated with development environment and
Yes,
which acts as a pair programmer for a developer,
yes,
which helps him in understanding, updating, upgrading, or writing a code.
yes, correct. And not only that, not only the developer areas, but non-development areas also it targets. So it is now very well integrated even with Windows Notepad. So if I show you, is my Notepad visible? So you can see the Copilot button over here. The Copilot is very well integrated with Microsoft Windows also. You can see the Copilot button over here. And if you have purchased the Microsoft Copilot Pro plan, or if you have got Microsoft 365 Copilot Enterprise Edition enabled for your enterprise accounts, in that case, Microsoft Office also gets the Copilot Assistant already. Right, and here itself we can see what all things it can do, even for a simple software like a Notepad. Notepad we use for taking notes, write some plain text options, and that's where we have some options over here like rewrite, maybe rephrase all the words and sentences, summarize the content, make it shorter, make it longer, more detailed, change the tone, change the format, right? These are very common tasks. And if we are looking to get all these tasks done manually, it takes a while. It takes a lot of time to think about it, right? It takes efforts to actually understand what is required and get it done, right? It's not something which I'm saying where the things are impossible when done manually. But the thing is, even for basic things, the manual efforts are increased over there and the productivity gets affected, right? For simple task also. So this is very much applicable for your code as well, right? And that's where basically the Copilot becomes a big deal, right? More of AI powered productivity tool usually is the term I use for it. AI powered, what that mean? It just doesn't read your content or understand your inputs and generate the data based on what is there in the database or pre-configured stuff or something. But it has the capability of crawling the internet also, which usually any human being also would do. If I don't understand something properly, if someone is asking me more details, I would be definitely extending my capability by crawling the internet, right? So it has got its own decision making kind of thing built into it, right? So that's where the AI powered feature comes into picture, right? So you can basically use it to complete your regular tasks, basic tasks, generate some boilerplate code, modify it, enhance it, maybe simplify the complex code. Maybe you can use it to understand the existing code, which is useful when you are doing some sort of maintenance on the existing software, right? Existing code base, I mean, right? So common tasks, maybe you just want to take the daily backup. You just want to prompt that, okay, take the backup, take the daily backup, and the process must start. So idea is basically to use as simple and natural language based commands, uh, using which my platform just carries out the task. It is as if I am asking some person in the team to get it done, right? So that's why we call it as assistant, right? Copilot is more of a assistant kind of tool, AI powered, built for us. Okay. And to make it natural language based implementation, basically it uses the LLM models or large language models behind the scenes to understand your request and provide the intelligent responses or assistances as per the need, including the summarization of the information that is coming in. Maybe based on that information, you want to generate some text, some code. Maybe you want to create some sort of visuals when you are building reports or maybe presentations, right? And even images also at times. Okay. So the point is the scope of this Copilot is not only for developers. This Copilot can be used for uh, the business purposes also, and even the end users as well, end consumers as well. So it could be B2B, it could be B2C, or it could be a typical developer assistant tool also, right? So what all things we would we can consider as the key features of this Copilot. Let's list down, right? Key features, and maybe I can also say functions. Yes. So we do get something called as real-time assistance. That's why I use the term assistant, right? Then all the capabilities are AI powered. So we can say AI powered capabilities. Then we have full integration with Microsoft 365, provides enhanced productivity. Then even recommendations, which are personalized to what is going on, means context based recommendations, suggestions, or auto completions can be provided, right? Okay. So what are the different variants of Office, this Microsoft Copilot? The Microsoft Copilot is the term which we use for the consumer version. What I am having right now here is Microsoft Copilot. There is a business version also named as Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is whatever this consumer version is having, plus few more features like integration with the Microsoft Office 365 tools and all, right? And then we have GitHub Copilot built specifically for the developers with full integration with Microsoft's uh, development tools like VS Code and Visual Studio, along with GitHub as well. Though we have the Copilot extensions, GitHub Copilot extensions available for non-Microsoft products also like Eclipse or IntelliJ and so on. Okay, so these are some of the versions that we have available for Copilot, right? Any questions so far? You can say these are not versions, actually, these are more of flavors, tailor made for different use cases and different purposes, right? Different type of users, correct? And because of the suggestions and the auto generation of the code or auto completion of the code or the text, whatever you are writing, it also enhances overall learning and experimentation for the user, right? You have some sort of ready reference or ready guidance all the time available with you, correct? You do have another flavor over here called as security copilot, which is used by the security IT security engineers basically to automate their tasks, right? So the next question comes in over here is what is behind Microsoft Copilot, whichever flavor you talk about. In general, I'm saying Microsoft Copilot only. What all things run behind this? LLMs, large language models, for which it uses OpenAI platform, precisely OpenAI Codex, which is a kind of a descendant derived from GPT-3, GPT-4, and continuously improvising, right? Because the GPT also gets revised. The new and new models are being trained. They are continuously being updated. So here, the LLMs used by Copilot also gets enhanced, right? The models which are used over here have been trained on billions of lines of code from different public repositories, documentations that are available, not only uh, restricted to GitHub. Definitely GitHub is one of the primary source, but then other open repositories are also considered here, along with lots of, I would say billions and trillions of natural language text as well, because it needs to understand what the user means to say, right? That's how the LLM actually works, right? Let's put that here as well. Trained on code and natural languages, I will say, because now the multiple languages are also getting added to it, right? You can use any language of your choice. If the language is not available as on today, it will be available in coming days, right? The language support also is enhancing. Okay, then it has got contextual awareness. So as I'm typing this, probably if Copilot is enabled over here, it automatically keeps track of what is in, and based on that, the automatic suggestions are given, and overall summarize content also is built behind the scenes, so that the moment the user asks that give me the summary of all this, it just generates that summary in almost real time, right? Because some background work always keeps on happening. Then we have security and privacy layers also used over here. Precisely important when it comes to the GitHub Copilot, flavor of Copilot, right? A a lot of code that you write probably is being analyzed. Or you might be saying that, okay, this is the prompt based on which the code has to be generated, like write a function for so and so thing, right? So someone probably is reading your code, reading your requirement, and with wrong intentions, that code can be stolen or can be misused also, right? If it is more of a business secret, then definitely this is not something which can be afforded. So in such cases, what we want is some control, like what kind of submission can go, or whether submission is allowed at all or not. What are the suggestions I'm looking for? The entire engine must be working on my local machine only, or am I supposed to submit this code to some third-party engine, Copilot engine basically available on cloud, and get the things processed over there. So depending on my need, depending on my security concerns, depending on my privacy requirements, I should be able to control all these things. For this security and privacy layer provides us something called as telemetry controls, which allow me to select or unselect what can be submitted, what can be submitted to the backend services of the Copilot, and so on, right? Then the next thing that we have is code referencing filters. What these are? Any guess? Code referencing means Copilot is referencing some code from some source over the internet, maybe some public repository, something, in order to be suggested to you. And you don't probably want any public repository based code to be suggested at all, because your business secret is already open in that case. In public repository, usually anyone can upload anything. Tomorrow, if that public repository gets changed with some malicious code written into it, your code also becomes malicious, and your application can become unsecure in that case. There can be direct targeted attack on the applications. So with this in mind, maybe you might want to play safe and say that, okay, don't use any public repository for suggesting the code. Whatever is available in private repositories, I want only that. Limited to my organization, or limited to these whitelisted organizations and these repositories where I have got the access to. I am the member of that repository, let's say. So that's what this code referencing filters allow you to control. And then you also have something called as enterprise grade compliance based on the Microsoft security standards. Microsoft itself is the software company, right? It probably knows that what are the business standards usually, what are the standard practices required, what kind of security measures need to be followed, right? So that's where they have their own expertise being provided over here with this enterprise grade compliance. They are already making sure that these compliances are maintained, and you can actually select that, okay, yes, I want the recommendations based on this compliance only. So the other recommendations which don't follow the compliance or which don't comply will not be suggested at all. Does that make sense? Okay, so the next thing that we have is the integrated development experience. What it says is that the tool works inside VS Code, one of the heavily used editor as on today. Then Visual Studio, more popular for Microsoft platform-based development. Then you have IntelliJ, which is supporting this. Then Eclipse, which is the very popular IDE that is used for Java-based development, right? There is another one called as JetBrains IDE. Along with this, it also integrates with GitHub, Azure DevOps, CI/CD pipelines very well, right? Even the third-party tools also it is pretty much compatible with, right? And then the biggest advantage of this Copilot is basically it uses continuous learning. Okay. Now, how this works? Copilot does not learn globally based on your code in real time, which makes your code secure. It will learn, but the scope of that learning will be local only, means specific to your machine. Whatever the learnings it takes from your code, it saves all that learning on your machine only. So that when you write the similar kind of code again within the same ID, same editor, it can suggest you the code based on the past learning. But on the at the same time, on some other machine, if you try to write the same kind of code, it may not suggest anything there based on your past code. So that makes your code secure actually, right? But then how it learns? It learns based on the OpenAI and GitHub feedbacks and telemetry if it is enabled by the developer to improve the future versions or future suggestions or future auto completions. Understand? So willingly when someone is submitting the feedback or the telemetry means about the code precisely if it is enabled, if you are a researcher or if you are working on some open source projects, right? You're using the public repository and all, you might not have any uh, requirement to restrict the code being submitted or something. It's already going to be open, right? So in that case, you can actually keep the telemetry enabled. Understand? So that's how it continuously learns and affects the future suggestions and future auto completions and so on. Is this clear? Any questions so far? Yes, anybody?
No, I guess we can go ahead.
Okay. So let's get into little bit of implementation of it. We'll be doing the implementation both by using VS Code and Visual Studio over here. Okay, to start with, first thing that we'll do is with the help of the Visual Studio Code, VS Code. Okay, so what we do is I open developer command prompt for VS 2022. This just gives me the access to some of the typical Microsoft .NET directories, the path and all that already preset. Otherwise, normal command prompt of Windows also is sufficient, right? Here I just change the directory to C drive root, and here I create another directory. And then I switch to it. Okay. And here then I create a new directory. Let's say demo1. Get inside this. And then I say .NET new console, which will build the console application. Right here, if I say dir, I do see the project is already created. And I want this folder to be opened in VS Code now for further development. So I just say code space dot.
Saket,
Yes.
should we record this session if anyone wants to refer it back?
Okay, let me see if I can just record
I think it
this.
is
It's
already
already
started.
recording.
It's already started.
It's
Okay.
already recording,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. All right.
The links will be shared post session, okay? Yeah. So the project is open and program.cs currently contains only the hello world thing, right? Now here, what I'm looking for is some function to be generated over here. Uh, For that, I would like to have a new file created first of all. Let's say I name this as mathUtil.cs. It's a C# project which I have created. And see, VS Code by default gives me this prompt. For this, I need to have the Copilot extension installed first of all. GitHub Copilot extension installed over here, right? So I go to extensions, search for GitHub Copilot, and here it is. This is what I have already installed. If not, install button will be there. You install it and you will have it. And then you automatically get this, right? So here I say Control I, and just like a chat window, it opens up the UI where I can give my prompt what I want to generate. Okay, so I can say create or yeah, so create a function using C# for calculating, say, factorial of a given number. And maybe I just enhance this, precisely saying create a static function, right? So prompt can be like this, normal English statement I put, and I just click on send. And here I say use Copilot. Okay, there seems to be some error. Let me put that again. Yeah, there it is. Maybe some connectivity issue or something for the time being. And here I say I can review the code which is generated over here. If this suits me, I can just say accept. And you see, in no time, it just created the code for me, right? Now what? I want another function to be added to this. How do I bring in that? Again, I press Control I. Anytime, anywhere, I can press Control I combination and the Copilot chat is back. Or else you can actually take it from here also. This will give a dedicated chat window, right? Uh, so let's say here only I go for Control I. In fact, it has already suggested that you might need a function by the name power. If yes, if you are okay with this, just press tab, it will automatically complete this. See, square root also it by default suggested. If okay, say take it. Logarithm, take it. Next is absolute value, right? Sign and so on. If I don't want to accept that, I just press escape key over there. Maybe I'm looking for something more. So again, I say Control I, and here I say write a static function. Now I don't need to mention C sharp or something because it is already context aware, right? So I say write a static function for adding two integers and send. Give it some time and it just does that job for me. Let's add one more. See, based on add, it automatically suggested subtract, right? So I didn't accept that and said Control I to give another prompt over here. Let's say write a function, static function to add two complex numbers. Accept, right? One more I'll go for. Let's say write a static function to multiply two matrix, right? I just need to say accept or close or rerun, maybe some different algorithm I want. Or if I see something is incomplete, I can say rerun also, right? And let's say accept. So it does. Let's say here I'm looking for another one. So write a function for sorting an array of numbers using insertion sort. Do you see this? Isn't it nice? So context awareness also you saw. Here I can also say write comments for all these functions explaining in brief their individual functionality. So here you can see in .NET properly, if we want to give the explanation, usually we go for the XML commands, right? Yes, and it just added the comments. Though one problem I do see is it has added all the comments right on the top collectively. We can just move them one by one wherever it is actually required, right? But the comments are ready. The documentation is ready. Isn't it nice? I don't need to spend time in understanding what the code is doing, what the variable is used for, how the things are going to work and all, and what words I should be using to actually write the comment. It is just doing the job on its own. Yeah, if I want, I can further customize this as per the need. Yes, because ultimately the comment is being generated within my code. So it's completely editable one. Understand? It makes it very, very powerful. I just say accept if I'm okay with the comments. And then one by one, I can just move in all the comments to their respective positions for the functions. Yes. Okay. Save this. And this is all workable code, you know. Okay. Now let me close this. Close this. Here I say cd dot dot, and I already have Angular installed, version 19.2.4. So what that means is I can create an Angular project as well, right? So here I go for ng new and demo ng dash demo dash app css, and I'll say no to this. Let the boilerplate code be generated. Okay. Here I say cd ng demo app, and there I say code space dot. So my Angular app is ready. Okay. So here also I can actually use this uh, Copilot to get some code generated for me. So let's say I open this app and I say open this app.component.ts. Okay, so this is, let me create one folder. And in that, oh, sorry, I just created it as a file. Folder I wanted to create, and then I say new file. Let's say I name this as test component. I can get this generated from here also. I can say ng g c test component. Yeah, so it automatically created the folder anyways. This one I'll delete then. Okay. So test component dot ts, I'll go to, this is my component, and here I say control I, generate Angular component for calculator functionality. Right. So here also I'm able to get some code generated. The more crisp my prompt is going to be, the more proper generation of the code would be. Right? You provide crisp and precise prompts and you get the absolute implementation as per the need. Okay. The more generic implementation, I mean prompting you do, the code will be more generic. My prompt for this was very generic, hence the generic implementation it has provided. But the crisp ones also we have seen with .NET already prior to this. So what this means is I can use it for React, I can use it for Python, I can use it for anything, right? Even if I tomorrow create a Python code, I mean Python file, it will just do the job. So maybe what I can do is I can just close this folder and say create a new text file. Maybe not this way, I'll do it this way. So cd dot dot make directory Python demo, cd Python demo, code paste dot, which opens VS Code. And here I say create a new file. Let's say hello world dot py. Write Python script to greet the user by his name. Yes. So script is already created and I just need to say start debugging over here with Python debugger. So here opens the terminal. The script is running, asking for me to input my name and it does the job. You can increase the complexity and something like that. Maybe further I say, create one more file, palindrome.py, and here I say, write Python script to generate palindrome of given string, right? One more thing to be noticed here, we are already getting some comments placed. Yes, I again say run, start debugging, Python debugger, enter a string. So I just say A, B, C, D, E, and it displays the palindrome. So actually what it has done is original input plus the palindrome, right? If you are looking for absolute palindrome, maybe you can just modify the code a bit. This S plus is not required in that case, right? If I remove this and run it, did I not save? Oh yeah, here also it is. This one I am supposed to remove. Yeah. Okay, so you can just play around with these things pretty easily. So this was VS Code integration of uh, GitHub Copilot. Okay, so when you install the GitHub Copilot extension, actually at that time it asks you to uh, authenticate yourself, and you need to provide that authentication by logging into your GitHub Copilot account. So GitHub Copilot account is actually GitHub account only, which has got the GitHub Copilot enabled on it. So for that, what you have to do is, here I go to github.com. Let me see if I'm already logged in. Yes, I am. And here I go to your Copilot option. So here we have the options like whether you have GitHub Copilot free, you can start one free trial. You can subscribe also for the pro version. You can buy the Copilot business as well, right? And then settings you can do like whether you want to enable the Copilot or not, what all things you want to allow, what all things you want to disable, all details you can set up over here. Your privacy settings also you can set up over here. Okay, whether the Copilot in GitHub desktop also needs to be enabled or not. Copilot, whether it is allowed to search the web, but this will probably take your code also to the web. So just do as per the need, right? Whatever the configuration you need. And once this is done, you just need to log in with your GitHub credentials into your plugin also. And the same thing you have to do here as well. Visual Studio, let me create a new project over here. Maybe a web API project I would like to create. And let me change the location to C drive, Copilot webinar demos, select folder, next. This is the framework of my choice, .NET 8, configure for HTTPS, open API support I need. I need a controller based API, not a minimal API, and create. Close this. And one of your sample API is already created here, correct? I don't want this one to be used, so I delete this. I delete weather forecast.cs also. I bring in a folder called as models. And there I say add a class called as product. Just a small comment I put there. And you see, automatically I got the suggestion here. I say public int ID or data type. If I wish to change, I can do that. Even the comment also is suggested now. Property to represent the name of the product. This is because of the context awareness. Public string name. I just want to accept that. So what I do is I press tab. Then it says price. I am okay. Done. Then I say quantity in stock. Quantity. If I want more, I can just continue like that. Understand? And see here also, I'm already logged in with GitHub Copilot. You get the option here, right? And from here, you can simply log in. You can upgrade to GitHub Copilot Pro and all easily. Understand?
Saket,
So
one question
when you,
here.
yes,
This was done by Copilot, right? Not IntelliSense, which is in the Visual
correct,
Studio.
correct, correct. IntelliSense is different. IntelliSense comes when, let me show you that also. So if I create a controller class of my own, and let's say API, I go with API controller empty to start with, and I name this as products controller. Okay. And then here I say there is a method accessible via HTTP GET public. Uh, I'm looking to return a product. I need to add using statement for demo API dot models. Okay, product, and I say get product is the name. Okay, now this thing here, I have not typed the code yet, but it is suggesting something. So this is because of Copilot. I press escape. I say just some dummy code I put there. Product P equals new product. What pop-up I am getting over here? See, again I do this. Product. This product in the pop-up which is coming. This is basically IntelliSense. Equal to new product. This is IntelliSense. Okay. And again, when I say ID is equals to 1, name, this is IntelliSense here. Whereas this auto generation sample or suggestion which is coming, this is because of the Copilot. If you don't have Copilot, this won't come. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Now see here, I just remove this and I say HTTP GET. So HTTP GET was suggested. It took a while, understood the context, and it automatically suggested me a method called as get products, right? Because usually API would be returning the list of products as well. If I'm okay with this, I just say press tab. It's done. And here onwards, it is just going to give me the suggestions on its own. See, based on the context, get by ID. Now it suggests the post version. That's the sequence usually we write our code in. Yes or no? Then again, HTTP put. Here comes the HTTP put, right? HTTP delete. Here comes the HTTP delete. So your boilerplate code is already created. And now here, if you want further enhancements, either you do it on your own or you can open the GitHub Copilot chat also. So you say open chat. If any issues are detected, fix my code is there. You can also say write unit tests. You can also say summarize my code. And you can also say that, okay, uh, validate the data in create product method before processing it. It will read the create product method automatically. And then it just suggests you what all things are required. How you need to add the data annotations, how you need to change your code in the create product method, model state dot is valid. These are the regular practices, isn't it? If you feel that no, I want fluent validation, you can put a prompt. Do it using fluent validation. Redo this using fluent APIs. See, yes, understand this? Isn't it nice? It makes our work, the task, the common stuff so easy, right? Any questions here? I can say summarize my code, which file it is asking. So let's say I'm looking for active document and say submit. This is useful for maintenance. Yes or no? Right? All details are there. We don't need to actually read any documentation or anything. At real time, it's just giving me all the inputs. It is just doing something what a senior would do. Now, getting help from senior is not always straightforward, right? The senior must be available also at that point in time. He must not be occupied with something of his own. Yes. Plus, not everyone may be able to explain you the things the way you want all the time. Here, you ask it 1,000 times, million times, billion times, it will just give you the responses without complaining, tirelessly, by changing the language. Like, simplify it further. Just like I'm talking to someone, right? It will take my inputs and it will just do the job. See, the language changes, right? And then we do have the option of write unit test cases also. So let's say right now the workable code I have is within product controller.cs, and I just say use that. It generates the unit test case code also with all the explanations, right? Plus the to do items, like what you can do with this. Now see, how do I cover the edge cases? Many of us here probably may not know what are edge cases also. No worries. If known, good. If not, that is also good. GitHub Copilot is there for your help, right? All guidance, all help is there. That's why I also mentioned this point here. Uh, Continuous learning and, you know, uh, this is anyways for GitHub Copilot itself. But then, uh, where is it? I didn't mention that, but yeah, it's the learning for us also, right? With all explanations and everything, I can easily understand what's going on. Yes or no? Let's make an error over here. And beside this, I make another error. Say I don't have a return statement here. Couple of errors I have introduced. Yes, I go to Copilot. First of all, I build the solution. Let the error be reported practically. Here we have. I can right click here and say ask Copilot, or I can use the fix my code option also. See why this error, what is causing this error. All details are here. Alternatively, I can say fix my code errors. So errors may not be always the syntactical errors. There can be code patterns also which can be, further optimized. That also it will suggest. See, error handling I have not done. Try catch blocks are not there. Dependency injection should be used. Validations, consistent HTTP responses, removed unused code, whatever it is. Overall changes it is suggesting, right? So it helps me maintain the consistency also. Yes or no? Let me say fix errors in products controller. I can also say help me fix errors in product controllers. See, product ID and create product, change to product.id to match the property name and so on. The modified code is here. I just need to take this code as it is. Okay. And I can paste it here. I can say preview also. I can also say insert a new file. There is copy code block option also. right? And then I paste. Now if I build, there is no issue. Build succeeded. Correct? Yes. Remove unused using statements is the next prompt. See, this one is not being used anywhere. And hence here, if you see the generated code, only two using statements are there, which are currently being referred somewhere, right? So if I want, I can just take this. Okay. Any questions here? Pretty useful, isn't it? Unit test cases I can create. Everything I can do with respect to the common practices. Yes or no? Here also I can write the functions and all that. Okay. I can just go here and say, write a function to check the existence of the product. Function, method, whatever you say. It will just give me that. See, action result bool. And if I see the name of it, product exists by ID. Checking. Yes. I can also say write unit test cases using any unit framework for products controller. Whatever is compatible with .NET and Visual Studio, it will just take that as input. See, earlier was X unit based, fact and all that was there. Here, this is typical N unit thing. Do you see? These are all N unit artifacts. And the prerequisites also, it will mention what all things you need to do, like installing which packages and all is required and all. Yes. See, how can I run these unit test cases in my Visual Studio environment? All details you have, and all are clickable links here, right? Wherever the action points are there. Was this helpful? Feedback is also there. More references required. You can actually say, yes, okay, this is the file which is being used as the reference here, right? Useful or not? You can use chat boxes as well. Okay, so now I'll proceed to the next thing. I close this and I use Windows Notepad and I probably put some paragraph over there. Maybe something from internet only I take. What is Microsoft Copilot? Let me search for that. And yes, is GitHub Copilot, I'll say. So some text I'm pasting over here. And then you can see this is active once the content is here. Rewrite. Okay, so this will require a subscription, of course. Anything will need the subscription first. I've not activated it yet on my machine, so it's asking for that. Otherwise, it just does the job as if you are doing it on the web itself, copilot.microsoft.com. So you don't need to go to copilot.microsoft.com because of these things, right? Directly here itself, you have got the options. Got my point? Right? Now, moving to the next section where we want to evaluate this Copilot feature in the Power Apps category. Okay, so let me open the browser. Okay, and let's say first of all, I go to my SharePoint site, optimistic.sharepoint.com. Some prerequisite stuff I'm doing. Here I go to site contents and then my list, or I can directly jump on to create a new list for me. List. I name this as test list, or let's say customers list. Create in my site titled Optimistic Infosystems Team Site. Create. List is just like a table, basically. Right. First of all, let me rename this column. I don't want it to be named as title. By default, it gives one column by the name title. So I just say, click on this column, then column settings and rename. I rename this to name. Add another column, text type, next. I name this as email. I'm trying to build something for the salespeople who probably want to maintain the list of customers to whom they want to reach out to by emailing them. Maybe I add another column. Maybe this can be used for the cold calling purpose as well. So I'll say contact number, and this cannot use number actually for phone number. So let it be text. Say save. If I want, I can make them mandatory columns also. So I can again go to column settings. First one, by default, it's not giving any edit option. That's fine. Email, common settings, edit. We'll say more options. Require that this column contains information. Save. I do that for contact number as well. Just a small basic application you can see. Okay. So this is my list creator. The next thing which I do is this is no more required. I just close this. I'll need this to add the new item. So I open another tab and here I go to my Power Apps platform. So make.powerautomate.com. It's already Copilot enabled. Do you see? The landing page, home page itself has got Copilot integration. See, some common prompts already there. Every month, copy all files from one drive folder to another OneDrive folder. Copy all rows from an Excel file to another Excel file. When a new item is created in SharePoint, send me an email. I can also say when a new item is created in SharePoint, add it to Excel sheet or something. I can provide my prompt as per my need. There are some already provided flows, or you can say the prompts for your help. And apart from that, here also there are few, right? So let's say to keep the thing simple, I just go for this. Create when a new item is created in SharePoint, send me an email. This is a very simple process, right? Here I make entry, there I should receive the email. The workflow is automatically created. I just need to configure. Okay. So when an item is created in this is going to be the trigger. The flow starts when this happens. Action, get my profile and send an email. I say keep it and continue. If I'm okay with this flow, right? Or else I can also revise my prompt by saying add more details for Copilot to work with and regenerate. All options I have here, right? I can provide more inputs here, like along with the above, add the item to Excel or something also, or database. Okay, so let me start over again. By mistake, I clicked on cancel. So I go to home and say create. Though, see, one more thing you must have noticed. If I go to create, these are the regular user interfaces, right? Manually, I can build all the flows and everything, Power Apps of my own. Okay, but with Copilot, I make it easy. Even a non-technical user can build a lot of powerful Power Apps, right? With no code knowledge, nothing. See, I say keep it, continue. Now I need to configure this. Okay, it is showing what permissions it is going to use. If required, you can just review it and you can then say create flow. So your flow application has been built, just like Microsoft Logic Apps. This is actually a version of Logic Apps only for user end. Here it says when an item is created, invalid parameters. Why? Because I didn't tell which place the item is created. List is okay, but which list? In which side? So I click here and configure. Here, first of all, I need to give the link of my site actually. So I would need my previous thing. Yeah, so I just recall this and I click on this logo, open link, just try. If this is correct. So this is correct. I go to here and yeah, in fact, I don't need to paste that also. There is a drop down available. I could have selected from there also. So it is this one, my Optimistic Infosystems Private Limited team site, right? See, so I select this and this also seems to be a drop down only. So in list name, customer list has already appeared, right? Any advanced parameters you can add, like how many columns you want to show and all, right? So this is done. I collapse it. This is fine. Get my profile is automatically going to work. Any specific setting required, you can provide that. Okay. And then send an email is always going to work on its own. So subject, if you wish to change, you can change. The body text, if you wish to change, you can change. right? You can have the expressions also built. For building the expression, again, you have the Copilot support. Understand? I just collapse this. This flow is created with absolutely no technical knowledge over here. Save. The flow is saved. And now here I click on test. For the first time, this is usually important. Actually, it will be automatically running. It is active already. So even if I don't click on test, but here I want to see the green text also. I don't want to go to history and all. So I click on test for the first time. Now it's waiting for the triggering action, right? What is the triggering action we have said? When an item is added to the list, correct? So here I go back to my list. I say add new item, asking for name. Let me put Saket, my email ID. Let's say sakitkarnik@gmail.com, my contact number. If any attachment I want to provide, I can. This is not mandatory though. I just click on save and it's added. Okay. Now here, just wait for a while. Your workflow will execute, or I mean, it will show that it has executed. And the email should soon arrive to my mailbox. So once it is arrived, I'll show you that as well. As of now, I'm running all of my workload on the free trial account. That's why the resources may be allotted with little bit of delay. For paid versions, it is available always. See, tick, 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 all the steps executed successfully. And here I have received the mail also. If you see this. Understand the power of Copilot? We saw Copilot for Notepad, which works the same way for Word, Excel, PowerPoint also, right? We saw the uh, GitHub Copilot for VS Code and Visual Studio. It works the same for IntelliJ. It works the same for JetBrains. It works the same for Eclipse IDE as well. Just that the configuration of Copilot might be slightly different from one to another because the platform, the tool itself is different, right? And ultimately, we saw the Copilot here in the Power Platform as well. You can see Copilot is here, right? Any questions? Do you find it useful? You can build any kind of workflows over here with approvals and, process mining, catalog, so many things are there. Any questions? In Microsoft Outlook also there is a scope. Basically, uh, when you are interfacing the customer, there are lots of email exchanges between you and your customer, right? What if on a particular day you decide that I want to see the summarized view of the entire mail trail? You can use Microsoft Copilot to summarize the mail trail also, right? It could be used for, bug tracking as well. It can be used within CI/CD pipeline also. You can generate the CI/CD pipeline with the help of this Copilot. Copilot has been integrated now on Azure also. Okay. Is this clear to all? So right now, if you want to write an email for granting, let's say 10 days of leave to you, and you want to make it as professional and as polite as possible, you write in your words, and you want the AI assistant to do all the formatting for you. Okay. How you do that? Either you use ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot online on the web. You put the prompt there with the text there and then copy and paste. The Copilot, when integrated with Outlook, don't require you to go to any third party platform. The place where you have written your uh, mail message, there itself you have the button for Copilot and you can just prompt it there and there itself. In place editing you can do, just like what we did for the code. Is this clear? Yes. So now you can tell me any of your problems that you face in your day-to-day work. Let's say specific to code, those who are developers. If you want a live session, we can do that. I can use the GitHub online platform also. Not GitHub, copilot.microsoft.com. So this is just like Chat GPT. Here I'm using the corporate version, enterprise version basically. Then here I say generate sample products table with, let's say, 1,000 rows. See, downloadable version only it created, CSV. So if I download this and open this, CSV usually opens in Excel. So does it here. And you can see almost 1,000 rows must be created. Have a look at this. Right. So this can be pretty useful. Yes or no? I can say that change the price range for products or include product descriptions as well, more categories, anything I can do. The entire data modeling can happen on this platform itself. Yes. Yes. Any questions, guys? I can say sort the data by price in ascending order. It will do that also. So if we see this new version, check this out. Prices. Yes. Description also added, which we asked to do it in the previous step. So it remembers the previous output and previous prompt. So it adds up. Basically, it does all the job in pretty much incremental way. Is this clear? Yes. One more demo we'll have over here with Visual Studio, just to summarize everything. So let me launch Visual Studio. Let me close this. Create new project. ASP.NET Core Web API. Next, I'll name this as demo web APIs. Next, this is all fine. I'll say create. And weather forecast I delete again, just not to interfere with my demo. Okay. And this time I'm not going to use any model. I just focus on creating the API. I say controller, API controller empty, add, and I name this as Calci API controller. Okay. Now, say I just waited for a while and immediately some suggestion came in. On what basis this code suggestion has come up? Tell me. The name of the API, Calci, right? So it assumed that I am going to have a method named as add, which returns the sum of the two numbers, but as a HTTP status code embedded message, because the return type is I action result. It is by default making sure that all the implementation is giving you the true RESTful behavior, right? All four basic arithmetic operations are there. And if required, I can also go for modulus. See? Yes, auto generated. I didn't do anything except pressing enter and space and tab. There is not a single character which I typed here. Is this clear? Yes. This is a workable API already. Now, I want the unit test cases to be created for this. So the proper way this time is I right click on solution. Maybe before that, I just get the name of this project copied first. Then I right click on solution and say add new project where I look for X unit projects, X unit test project. Next, I name this as demo web APIs dot test, which is a regular standard, right, for naming the test projects. Next, and create. I get rid of this. Okay. First thing I do is add some references. So here I right click on dependencies and say add project reference to my demo web APIs because that's what I'm going to test, right? Then I say add some NuGet packages here, standard practice only. So let's say, first of all, I'm going for XUnit is already added. If you see here, packages, XUnit is already added, right? Here I say go for MOQ, the mocking framework, most popular mocking framework for .NET, right? I install this package as well. Apply, close. Okay. One more package I'm going to install. So again, I go to NuGet packages, browse, and here I say Microsoft dot ASP.NET Core dot MVC dot testing. Writing functional tests. This is .NET version specific. So I select the latest version in 8.0 category because my framework version targeted is 8.0. Okay, install, apply, accept. Done, close. Now, first thing I do after this is I rename this unit test1.cs file to Calci API controller tests. Okay. And yes. So if it was not suggesting this by default, you can probably just remove the curly braces and put them back. Here it comes up with your test cases. Okay. This thing, I guess, is not required. So you can actually comment this. If your API is not running, in that case, this is what is required. Otherwise, this is something which you can just keep aside. I just comment the whole constructor here. And here is the test case for add. Okay. Your API must be running in this case, as I'm not using this part as of now. So here I just say set this as startup project and debug start without debugging to launch your APIs. HTTP client will be needed here. So we don't have the startup class as such. Wait, let me uncomment this. We're using this client.getAwait async here, right? This I'll comment. And I initialize client with new HTTP client. And this requires the URL actually, the base URL of your API. So even this one should be enough. And there I say underscore client dot base address equals to this. And let's see where our API is running. Port number 7051. That's what I'll change here. So even this was suggested by Copilot only. If I have the startup configuration file created in my test project, then I can use this. But as I don't have the startup configuration file in the test project, I commented this and I opted for the direct way. Okay, so my API is already running and now I just need to run the test case. So I go to test and say run all tests. I can go to test explorer. It says failed. Let's see the reason. It should not have failed. Line 18. What's wrong? Oh, this is string expected dot to string. Expected is this. It should have matched. We can have a debug and see what's wrong. Not stopping here. That's strange. Test explorer. Debug. Probably it's failing here only. Oh yeah, my API has stopped. Restart this. Build, debug, start without debugging. API is running. API, Calci API, add AB. And here now I say test, test explorer, right click, debug. It's working properly. So, okay, wait. I guess I got it. This should have been HTTPS. Yes, that was the mistake. I oversee that. Yes. So test cases also generated properly and you can modify them as per the need. For multiple parameters, it has done that, right? Any questions, any queries, guys? So going back to our agenda, we tried GitHub Copilot with VS Code, with Visual Studio, with Power Platform. And yeah, practically we were not able to try this, but we discussed this, what this is, right? And all do's and don'ts and something like that. Okay. So as the link for the video recorded will be shared with you, you will be having the learning resources links also shared within the same mail body. Okay. So that is it from my side for this webinar. If you have any questions, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead. Yes, Aman?
Uh, it's regarding the subscription plan for the GitHub Copilot.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, so do we can we take in our personal ID and
You
use it
can, you
in
can, you
and
can.
I can use in our that professional BS.
Yes, you can. Just that your organization needs to permit that.
Okay,
Because the policies are different for the personal and for the organizational one, right? The
okay,
compliance and all that. So that is something which you have to see. If your organization uses open policy, then there is no worry. You can use it blindly. But if there are restricted policies, then probably you need to go ahead with the organizational account,
okay.
right?
Thanks.
Just like any other subscriptions, basically.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? So Navjot requests you to take over the session, and I guess there is a small quiz on this, right? So you can just drive the crowd to that.
Surely, Saket. First of all, thanks a lot to all the attendees, and many thanks especially to Saket, everyone for sparing time on a Friday afternoon. So quickly, uh, Sana, my colleague, would have shared a link in the chat. So in fact, there are two links. One is a feedback, small feedback, if you can put some words or whatsoever you felt about this session. And second, there is a small MCQ, so which is I guess 10 to 15 questions, and we strongly recommend you to go through that MCQ assessment. Because we have a small appreciation token wherein like people who score more than 70% they earn a learning badge. So that will be emailed to you. So just make sure when you fill that details for MCQ, you write your first name, second name, and the correct Gmail ID wherein the learning badge that would be a digital badge that would be shared over your email. And like you have seen that optimistic, we have been trying to spread more about Gen AI, the latest tool. The world of technology is changing very fast. So anything that you feel that we can plan sessions on any topic, you can put in the chat, or there would be a section in the feedback form also. And you can go to our LinkedIn page, which has updates for such events. Probably next week also there would be a related kind of event. And for this particular Microsoft Copilot, we have around 16 to 20 hours detailed course, which will take you to GitHub certification also. So Tana, if you can share that link, you can display that link. This is a 20 hours course which we are doing for Infosys now. I mean, a lot of Infosys and the company is sponsoring that for their internal certification purpose. So anyways, if you are looking individually to go through a detailed course on Microsoft Copilot, GitHub Copilot, or if you can, you want to pass it on to your management and ask them to organize this, so you can see to that. I guess that is all for today. Anyone having any feedback and all, they can, we'll most welcome and look forward for that. Anything, Saket, you need to conclude for?
No, that is it from my side. If any questions, I'm there for next 5 minutes in the meeting.
Surely, let's keep